All right, Noah, do the intro. Noah? Hello? Noah? Okay, so Noah's not here. Welcome to another edition of the F1 Side Pod. We're cool boys talking about cool cars. Noah's out today. He's visiting an old lady that he knows or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what we'll go with right now.
I think he might be mowing her grass today because
Probably.
it's pretty. Her normal guy didn't come this week.
Yeah, probably. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll change it later probably. But so this is Cody,
This is Paul.
and we have Adam here today in Noah's place.
What's up, guys?
So the Monaco Grand Prix, way more eventful than we thought in a much different way. We have Verstappen. Wow, looking at last week's thing. Sorry. We have Perez P1. We have Sainz P2. Verstappen P3. Leclerc P4. Russell P5. Perez, third win ever.
Mm-hmm.
Hell of a race. Very wet. You probably heard the rain in the background. Very wet race.
Yes.
What'd you guys think of this?
Well, like you said, very wet. Lots of strategy needed for as it stopped raining into the track drying up. A lot of different strategies going on the teams.
Yeah.
Going from wet to intermediates to who's going to put the slicks on first.
Yeah. And then even, Schumacher crashes out. And then there's all new strategies coming up.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was a lot.
who had the best strategy was definitely not Ferrari.
Yeah, they really bungled it on the strategy stuff this weekend a little bit. Adam, how'd you enjoy the race?
I didn't enjoy it actually. It was not as good as last week's.
Yeah.
I think the race director had some questionable moves by delaying the start of the race with when it was like kind of like a light drizzle.
Yeah.
So that played a factor in us not getting the full 77 laps, I think. But the tire management was interesting, especially, you had the wets, then the intermediates. Gasly had a good run there at the beginning with his intermediates. And then
That was a good strategy, like keeping those intermediates on his. I
Yeah.
think it really worked out for him. I think he gained like 2 places,
Oh, he gained more than that.
2 or
He
3
was in the-
places
he
with
was in
those
the bottom
intermediates at the
5.
top.
Yeah,
Oh, was it
And
really?
And he got all
yeah.
up to, I think, 12th.
I think his pace was like
that quick at the beginning, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was pretty fast, and then he was setting a pace that basically scared everyone else into going ahead and pitting early. So,
right.
And then with the slicks toward the end, you still had the strategy with whether or not you're going to run the hard or the medium compound, because you saw that Red Bull decided to go medium and Ferrari decided to go hard, and you saw Perez kind of struggling there at the end. I think if they had ended up going all 77 laps, we may have had a different outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was especially like, I think it was maybe the last 4 minutes, probably last 4 minutes. They all kind of just like backed off of each other. But that last like 7 minutes, like they were like up in each other's butts.
Yeah.
Like it was like, they might Verstappen might get passed by Leclerc and Sainz may pass Perez, but then it seemed like they kind of like leveled off because like it's not worth it. We're this close. There's 2 minutes left in the race, and they all just kind of like backed off and kind of settled in. This is going to be the positioning.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think if it was an easier track to pass on,
I don't
we
remember
would've
ever
seen
seeing
more
a
action.
race like that
I know.
before.
Well, see, so first off, I'll say at the beginning, I wasn't sure I would enjoy this race because the whole time with it being a tight track, when it being wet, I was like, I'm going to be nervous every second of this race.
Well, I already thought coming into this weekend in general, it was like Monaco is probably my least favorite race of the season.
Agreed.
Just
Agreed.
because it's like it's all about the qualifying. Whatever they qualify at's where they're going to end up. I actually kind of like that it did rain because it did give Monaco
something
a
else.
little something extra to where it's like, oh, this is really going to mix some stuff up. It
Yeah.
could get exciting, and
Yeah.
it did have its moments for sure.
I think it made the entirety of the race more interesting, but it did rob us of like the best part about Monaco, which is the first lap, because they went into these rolling starts.
I know.
And so you didn't get this you didn't get that start that, with Monaco, considering like this is probably one of my least favorite races of the year, every year, but because of the way the track is designed. But the first lap is usually the most exciting. And yeah, we had to trade that for this,
For the wet.
The wet, I don't know, just the strategy that goes into that, not knowing if someone's going to spin out like Mick Schumacher.
That was wild. When they started the initial formation lap, like, I think that was the first two cars. Instead of going straight, they kind of just went sideways.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, and they fishtailed real hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is going to go terribly. And honestly, we only had, 3 DNFs, and 2 of them were because of some sort of mechanical issue. Mm-hmm. So that's honestly nuts to me for Monaco in general, but especially a wet Monaco.
Right.
Yeah, with K-Mag, like I think I missed what happened to him. I heard it was like a water pressure thing, but they never showed it, right?
Yeah, they never showed it. They barely. I noticed it before the announcers noticed it during the race.
Well, and that's what I noticed throughout the race, and I think Cody, you saw it earlier, was were they saying it during qualifying? They were, instead of using like the normal F1 production team, they were using a local team.
Monaco's something in their contract. They use a local like production team or something like that instead of the official like F1 team. So if you notice something funky with the broadcast, it's because it was
and it was like you're like watching some like heated something up front between like Ferrari and Red Bull, and then it was just like cut to Ricardo. It's like, why are we watching Ricardo right now?
Yeah.
Like Sainz is about to pass Perez. He's like, and I've heard people, in his ass.
I've heard people talk about that all season a little bit, but I think it was probably worse this weekend of like, they've got a double box, they've got a triple box. Use it when there's like, use the big box for the front and then use the smaller boxes if there's other interesting stuff going on, but don't cut away for stuff like that. But no, I mean, it was nerve-wracking. It was interesting strategically. And honestly, I think I was kind of talking to Paul about it a little bit during the race, is that I think that, obviously Monaco gets a bad rap because it's hard to pass, because it is.
Well, it was made the track was made for
smaller cars. Can't go as fast.
Right.
Yeah. But I think one thing that it doesn't really get the credit for is it's a defender's track more than it is a passer's track. And so there's not as much passing.
Which we know how well Perez defends.
Yeah.
The
Mexican Minister of Defense.
Nice.
So I mean, it's interesting because it's tight and all. Same as Jeddah. I feel nervous the entire time during Jeddah because I'm like, somebody's gonna slam into a wall any second. But yeah. So on the formation lap originally, we had 2 drivers run into the walls while behind a safety car.
And one of them's our favorite, running into the wall.
Yeah, Nicholas Latifi just did not turn and gently ran into the wall and was like, sorry, guys. It just didn't turn. It didn't turn.
America's favorite Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other Canadian, Lance Stroll, tapped a barrier a little bit, and I don't think anything. Oh no, he got a puncture. He had to replace his tires.
He had to pit immediately.
So both of them doing Canada proud.
But luckily Latifi was, what he qualified 20th? No, 19th. So he got down to 20th, and Stroll went to 19.
Yeah,
for that. So they didn't really lose much.
No, but I just wanted to mention it because we have to mention whenever Latifi messes up, because I don't know how many more races we're gonna have to actually talk about him messing up. I think mid-season they may drop him.
That would be really good for Williams, I think.
Yeah. But we kind of talked about the strategy a little bit. Let's go into Ferrari versus Red Bull strategy and the fact that Leclerc got absolutely screwed. So we'll start off with, and the announcers were saying it the whole time, and honestly continue to say it through like the award ceremony,
right?
Is that the Ferraris, or at least Leclerc, I know Sainz was waiting to put on slicks, but if Leclerc was going to go inters, he should have gone earlier, so that, because they were building up behind him and all that stuff, and he was losing time to Perez, who had already switched, and then by the time he did switch, he was behind Perez. So that screwed him kind of originally, but could have been made up later. Maybe he could have got close enough to pass. But what really got him was, and it seemed like a miscommunication through the team. They called Sainz into box. They called Leclerc into box. And almost as soon as Leclerc turned into the pit lane, they said, no, stay out. And it's like...
Too late.
It's
Right. It's like, well,
yeah,
I'm already
way
in
too
here.
late. So now not only does
Thanks
he
a
have
lot,
to
guys.
he has to wait a little bit for Sainz to get his new tires on, but he just pitted, so it puts him even farther behind. And as we know, he never made up that space he lost.
Right, because you can't make up.
So let me ask this as kind of a F1 newcomer. You know, are they always told to box, or can they decide on their own to box if they want to, like a driver?
Sometimes they can, but I think usually they give him a heads up.
So
because they got to have the tires ready for
what
him.
we saw on the broadcast was we saw Sainz pitting, and then we hear on the radio to keep Leclerc out. But Reiser's saying that, you see Leclerc come in behind him. Mm-hmm. So I assume that means they told him to box initially. Mm-hmm. So he comes in, and as he's coming in, they're like, "No, wait, stay out."
Yes,
right.
So you hear Leclerc lose his mind on the radio, and understandably so.
Oh yeah.
And so it really builds up through the broadcast, because first off, they don't play the radio message right till they get them, because they've got to bleep stuff sometimes and whatever.
Sure.
But so basically, how I saw it was they were doing a double box, is what it looked like, and then you hear Leclerc yelling on his way out of the pits, and I was like, man, what's he upset about? You know, just because he's behind Sainz or something now. But then they play it again later and show, you can see from Leclerc's camera, you can see when his hands go up. And he's like, you can tell he's yelling by the gestation in his hands. Gestures of his hands. I think gestation means he's pregnant.
Yeah.
Sorry. But they tell him to pit. He turns in, and then they say, no, don't. And his hands start going wild. And I was like, oh, okay. They've just royally bungled this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Hasn't that been the story of Ferrari, though? Like the past 3 or 4 races?
Well, and from what I understand, the past 3 or 4 years plus, potentially, is even if they have a fast car, sometimes their strategies are just not there.
Yeah, because, I mean, look at the qualifying. Like, Leclerc has almost got pole, like, I would say the majority of these, like, what, 7? Is this the 7th race?
Yeah.
Like, he's gotten pole, but he's only won, like, what, 3 races, maybe, if that?
I think that's right.
And it's come down to poor management on the track, like whether that's tire management or pit strategy. Like, somebody needs to take a long, hard look at what they're doing, because I mean, it's screwing over Leclerc and Sainz. Well, mostly Leclerc, because Sainz sometimes, a lot of his have been user error.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Leclerc's won 2 races.
only 2.
That's
crazy.
Bahrain and Australia. He came in
and he's
second,
still
in
ahead
US.
of Hamilton.
Yeah.
He's gotten podium a few times.
Yes,
though.
he's gotten podium all but now
This
3
week?
times.
Oh,
so
3
4 out of 7.
Which, last week could be blamed more. That was a power issue, so that was less a
And then
managing.
Italy was also something, I think.
Less
I
of
don't
a
remember
strategy.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've kind of had some issues there, and unfortunately, it just didn't turn out for him. But at least he finished the race for the first time ever in Monaco. So that's nice. It's been his home race. He's raced in it multiple times, and finally getting to actually finish the race and see what it looks like there, and not have to just sit on the sideline while watching other people finish.
Yeah, he got to watch other people finish while he was behind them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor Leclerc.
So let's see. And then the restart. So the restart, we kind of talked about it a little bit. We can hit on it a little bit more. But the Red Bulls went on new mediums, and the Ferraris both stayed on the hards they were already on.
Right.
And, at the time, it seemed risky for the Ferraris that they'd even get the opportunity to try to, come back at the Red Bulls. But really, you saw at the end, Perez was struggling with his tires. They had the timing just about right. Mm-hmm. The only issue was Perez didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, and they just kind of ran out of time. And like I was saying earlier, it kind of seemed like they're like, it's not really worth the risk to push any harder anymore. Let's just back off some and just finish this.
Yeah,
get
at
this
a certain
race
amount,
over
you're like,
with.
well, if it didn't happen by now, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Stellar driving by Sergio Checo, because you have to wonder after last week, what was said behind closed doors when he said on the radio, like, we need to talk.
We'll talk about this.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. So, I'm really proud that they didn't try to do some sort of strategy that got Verstappen the lead or something crazy, which I don't think they really could have at that point.
I don't think it would have really come down to it if Verstappen could have gotten past Sainz.
Yeah, that would have got interesting.
Down.
If he had gotten P2 and gotten past Sainz, what would they have done?
Yeah.
I still think they would have let Checo win.
Yeah.
Because as long as Verstappen finishes ahead of Leclerc, there's really no harm done without pissing off your teammate.
Right.
So,
and I like to, like, Verstappen, like, even though he got third, like, genuine, like, happiness that Perez got first, you know? There's no, like, hard feelings. Like, I think if on the same ticket, like, if Russell were to get first and Hamilton get third, Hamilton would kind of be just kind of like a pity party.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good for him, but they did me wrong.
Yeah,
it was dangerous driving.
It was dangerous driving out there, man.
And not to. I know how Hamilton is, but with Verstappen, I think Verstappen could be like that. However, Checo has been such a great teammate.
Right.
Yeah.
He's helped Max out so many times out of pinches.
Max has no choice but
He helped
to try
him.
to
I mean,
pay it
he
forward.
literally helped him get the championship last
Right.
year.
Yeah, he
in that
really
last
did.
race.
So it is good to see Max kind of give it up for recognize, hey, I've got a stellar teammate right now.
Yeah.
Like let's let him get one. You know, like that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now to talk about something that's not Ferrari and Red Bull.
Okay.
Because I mean, they're the focal point of this whole thing. They were right there the whole time. But is Lando Norris.
Yeah, he had a hell of a race.
Last
too.
week had tonsillitis.
He won last year, right? Did he win Monaco last year?
No, he came in
I don't
third.
know
He was
who
on the podium.
Wins anything the year before?
Yeah, Paul can't remember shit.
Yeah.
Last year Verstappen won Monaco.
Oh, that's right. We
Verstappen,
discussed that
Sainz,
last
Norris.
week. Yeah. Because I thought Ricardo.
Yeah. No, it's been years since Ricardo.
Right.
won.
It was Monza, correction.
Yes.
Monza, not Monaco.
Yes.
Is what Ricardo
Very
All
won
those
last
countries, man, they just start to sound
year. Yeah,
the
they
same.
just all start blending together. So that's why I forgot.
Yeah. But so Lando Norris had tonsillitis last week. Still raced.
So is that
And-
like Jordan's flu game, basically? Like,
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hay fever.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they said it was both or just one. I don't know. Whatever. He had a lot of stuff last week. But apparently it was so bad that in practice this week, he couldn't talk. So, like, he couldn't, I guess he could barely, or maybe a little bit, but talk over the radio and was saving his voice for that.
Wow.
But he wasn't talking outside of maybe in the car. I don't even know that. But
And he kept saying, like, are you going to have my ice cream cone ready for me when the race is over?
yeah, all he was saying was
He
ice
just
cream,
wanted
please.
he just wanted ice cream. Like,
Yeah.
how?
I get it.
And
mean,
I
it's a
don't know why they had to
tonsillitis.
keep saying that, putting that radio message up.
It was weird. But because Alonso was behind him and holding back Hamilton, and then therefore holding back the rest of the race, they built up
Like
such
a 33-second gap or
I
something.
think
like
even
that.
more than that at one point.
Yeah.
But they built up such a gap that Norris pitted. We thought he was going to put on softs. He put on fresh mediums, and went out. And once he got them warmed up, he asked, are we going for the fastest lap? And they were like, well, just, when you get comfortable, you can go for the fastest lap if you want to. And he's like, what's the time? And they told him, and he was like, all right. And like the next lap, he beat that time by like a full second. And held the fastest lap, and is performing. I feel like it's hard to tell where that McLaren's at because Ricardo is performing.
I would say, what does this mean for Danny Rick?
I don't think good
don't know.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been talk about potential of him not being on the team next year, even though he's under contract.
Earlier this week, hearing Zach Brown quote again, he just doesn't talk about Ricardo. He just hasn't figured this car out yet. It's like, you can't keep using that excuse, man. It's like we've done over a year of that excuse.
Are we looking at the future Williams driver?
I don't think that.
No, I think my prediction
Latifi
to go early.
Daniel Ricciardo.
To go early right here, but I think, especially if Hamilton retires this season, or potentially next if McLaren keeps Ricardo for his full contract, they may pull him as a number 2 driver to Russell potentially.
What?
Do you think they wouldn't possibly bring back Valtteri?
Hold on.
No,
Hot
I don't think
take.
so.
I think so.
Hot take.
It's been talked about.
Has it?
I think so.
I have not heard that.
That's a step up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because, their car is more, I guess, traditional, and McLaren's is kind of a trickier car.
Okay.
I would
I don't
say
think I've ever heard
I would
that,
like
honestly.
I would like to see Danny Rick in a good car that he can like actually
That
control.
goes with how he drives.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like we kind of got robbed after he left Red Bull, like, which I think he even would admit that was a mistake to go to Renault.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they did him dirty when Max came on, though, with that Max's contract compared to like what they were offering him, and
I can understand, but was
making
Renault,
Max like he's the rookie driver of the team, but he's going to be the number one driver of the team.
I just don't think Renault is the right choice though. Like you're kind of downgrading your car.
Yeah.
Like so you're already handicapping yourself. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I mean hindsight's 2020, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah, because it was he went to McLaren right after Renault, right?
yeah, he spent
Yeah.
2 years at Renault and then
Right.
went to McLaren. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where that
might not
McLaren.
even remember what Renault was.
Yeah. Renault, now Alpine.
Alpine. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know where this McLaren is. Is Lando driving it where it should be? Is he outperforming the car? Is Daniel actually where the car performs, or is he underperforming? With them with there being that big of a stretch, it's like where is the car?
Too, because like Norris is a younger driver. Ricardo's older. He's kind of set a little more, I would say, maybe set in his ways of like how he likes to drive.
Yeah.
And the type of setup, and like Norris, just with his younger brain, like maybe he's just able to adapt quicker to different.
Well, and so from what I understand, basically Norris came into McLaren.
And he had extra year
Right.
with McLaren, right?
Yeah, so
Right.
he had to.
Yeah.
This is the only F1 car he's had to learn.
That too.
And from what I understand, Ricardo's driving style is to be really late on the brakes. But from also what I understand, McLaren's car style is to brake evenly and earlier.
So I think that he would actually do really well in Mercedes then,
Yeah.
because that's how Hamilton drives.
Yeah.
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 And so I think that's a big thing. And even when Ricardo first went to McLaren, he replaced Sainz. Sainz went to Ferrari. And apparently
Right.
there was a conversation they had that was filmed. I don't remember if it was Drive to Survive or elsewhere, but where they were talking to each other, and Sainz was like, "It's a tricky car, huh?" And Ricardo was like, "Yeah, it is." So like everybody understands it is. Norris just something about it is the way he wants to drive, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll see. Obviously, I think everybody hopes that Daniel Ricciardo figures it out or goes
I do
on to
too.
a good
I don't
team
want
and
to
is
see him
performing.
out of F1 or anything.
Yeah, he's definitely America's sweetheart, so to speak.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Oh, and one last thing is, I heard him say at the end of the race, if Lando would have gone on to the softs potentially, he crossed the line 0.2 of a second behind George Russell, so he almost caught up to him even after that late pit. So hell of a drive.
Real quick, can we go back to the Alpine train that
Yeah,
Fernando caused, because he essentially screwed over his own teammate.
a little bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because Ocon had a 5-second penalty.
Yes.
I believe he collided or nicked somebody. I don't
It was
remember.
Hamilton.
It was
but
Hamilton.
It was Hamilton. So
it was awesome.
let's just be honest. It was
I
awesome.
like
Yeah.
that after that happened, like his little side winglet was like flapping, and the announcer was like, "Oh, look at that! It's flapping on Hamilton's car. I don't think it's supposed to do that."
Yeah.
It's like-
So that happened. So he had a 5-second penalty, and they kept on the radio. They kept telling him to push. He's like, "Listen, I can't push because Alonso has basically backed this whole thing up.
Right.
Like this is as fast as we can go." So I'm curious about the strategy there to really hold up that entire line. What was it? At one point, a 30-second interval.
It was
there.
at least, I remember at least at one point, it was 34 seconds between Norris and Alonso.
yeah.
that's crazy.
But yeah, I don't fully get it either, because usually something like that is to protect the person in front of you.
Right, but there was no one to protect.
And so I don't fully get it unless maybe Alpine
unless
wanted
George
to stay ahead.
I think Christian Horner paid them off to
I
keep
think-
Hamilton down. Like that's
See,
really
I don't know. I was thinking maybe George Russell paid him off.
to keep
Oh.
his own teammate down.
Welcome to the conspiracy theory hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really weird. I
George
don't
Russell
fully
doesn't need to
get.
pay anyone off to beat Hamilton.
Yeah.
He can beat him with his eyes closed.
But yeah, so Ocon got that penalty and went from, what was it?
He finished ninth.
Yeah, ninth to 12th.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get that big of a gap. But also, I'll say, once Alonso took off and decided to stop holding Hamilton back, he set the fastest lap on the next lap he did.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was weird, and I don't fully understand it, and I'm sure more stuff about it will come back in or come out in the next little bit. But
speaking of screwing over your teammates, I'm really proud of Gasly's drive because if you go back to qualifying, Yuki just really screwed him over with that. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
You know, he crashed right when Gasly was getting ready to get a better lap in.
yeah,
And so in doing so, he got out in Q3.
he
or
got out in Q3.
Sorry.
Or yeah, so he got out in Q1 by like less than a second, not
Yeah.
crossing the line to set a new lap.
Right.
But
yeah.
you know, so what did he start this race at? He qualified
He qualified 17.
and he finished. I mean, he's
And
out
he
of the points,
finished 11.
but he got 11th. I mean, so still
It's a good come up.
Heck of a drive, especially with that whole strategy with the intermediates. I thought that was
Yeah,
that made
was-
for a fun little stretch there.
Yeah, because you could even like tell the lap that the intermediate started gripping on that dry, and everyone was still on wets, and he's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so now we've kind of hit on some of the big drivers of the day, but we've got to decide on our driver of the week, our weekend warrior. Who wants to put forward a name into the hat first?
I'll put a name forward.
Go.
Lando Norris.
Lando Norris. I like it. Obviously, I talked about him a lot just now. And you can agree, Adam. Adam, you're new to this, so it's the either the driver of the day or the weekend warrior, however you want to think about it.
Right.
Person who performed well, usually qualifying in the race. And
I'm
just
gonna have to
performed
give it
the
to Checo. Like I know it's
That's also fair.
Yep.
I know like it's not fun to give it to the first place driver, but his defense there at the end was really awesome. And the fact that he qualified, what was it, third? Or was he
third.
Yeah, third.
Yeah, he was third. And was able to
Take out two Ferraris.
take out two Ferraris. Yeah, I mean that's huge for Red Bull. Like
Yeah.
it keeps
Especially
keeps,
at a track like Monaco. I
Yeah.
mean, he would. Yeah. I mean, he had a little bit of in his favor just with bad strategy on Ferrari, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that their tire management or their tire strategy probably wasn't the best at the end, considering they were out on the mediums.
right.
So he was able to use that though and still defend against Sainz, who was right on his tail.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So for me,
That's
I
true, yeah.
I would give it
He
to
was-
Perez, but
Yeah. Well, okay.
okay.
I don't have a new person to add, so I'm going to
Okay.
agree with Adam on this one.
Okay.
I think Checo, I know it was a bit of a strategy game that he didn't have as much of a hand in, but defending on those mediums,
Yeah.
defending throughout, and just, I mean, honestly, almost anybody could be the driver of the day if you didn't crash out. Like, because it was not the easiest thing to do on Monaco regularly, especially when
Right.
it's wet.
What were you saying? One Monaco, was it in the 80s?
Yeah, I don't remember when it was. Honestly, it was a thumbnail I saw on YouTube. But there was apparently one Monaco Grand Prix where 3 cars finished.
Because it was another rainy Monaco like this. And like,
So we only had 3 cars not finish,
right.
which is kind of astounding. But yeah, I'm gonna put my weekend warrior into Checo Perez. So Paul, you
Yeah,
coming our way? Or are you
I
gonna give
think
us a good argument?
I don't think I have a good enough argument for Norris.
Norris, you can be the squire, but the weekend warrior is Checo Perez.
Checo.
good honorable mention for Lando Norris.
Yeah,
though.
okay. We'll
honorable
make
mention.
you honorable mention.
Yeah, the squire of the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna head to break, and we'll come back and talk about the next race. All right. So this is where we would put ads if people wanted to give us money. So F1
9
sidepod at
episodes in
gmail.com.
and no one wants to give us money yet.
Give us money, please. Email us. Let us know.
Please.
But so we're gonna do our highly targeted ads. And you know what? Since Noah's off feeding wolves
in
today
Grandma's backyard.
in Grandma's backyard, we're gonna target him.
Okay.
So we've got to figure out something Noah wants, and then put an ad directly towards him. Noah's very tall. So I was thinking potentially a helmet he could just wear around so that he doesn't hit his head on doorways and things.
Well, which he does. He has hit his head on things before.
Judging by the way he speaks, I would assume he's hit his head a few times.
True.
Good thing he doesn't listen to our podcast.
Right. Then why are we targeting him if he's not going to listen to it?
We'll tell him. We'll make him listen to just this part. But
okay.
after I said the insult thing.
Right. Okay, so you got helmet.
Helmet. What else?
I don't know. I don't really know the guy that well.
He likes swords. He has a sword.
Likes swords.
Yeah.
You're right. He does. He does like swords. Uses it for home defense.
Yes.
Is what he claims.
Yeah,
Has
not
it
a
under his
baseball
bed.
bat, not a gun,
Not a
sword.
gun.
He has a sword.
Yes.
A sword, which is pretty badass. Like if
Yeah.
someone did break into his house, and
Pretty
he, like,
cocky.
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Well, because he's tall, he also has a long reach.
That's
So he could stab you from across the room. So
true.
are we gonna go with swords? What else? Noah, text me right now if you can tell we're talking about you and tell me what you like. He likes minifigures. He likes painting minifigs.
He likes Star Wars Legion.
Yeah, Star Wars stuff.
That's,
Man, we're really painting
dragons.
him. We're painting him in the best light. He likes Star Wars and minifigs, and he carries a
he
sword.
thinks he's a ninja.
We're making him sound super cool.
So let's get him a basketball, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
Yeah,
We need
okay,
to,
you know
we
what?
need
Yeah.
to get him outside. That's a
We need
good
to get him.
idea.
We need to
Adam.
get him cool stuff.
Yeah, cool boy things.
Yeah. What do cool boys wear? That's the question.
Basketball jerseys.
Basketball jerseys. Okay.
You know, he likes the Memphis Grizzlies. He likes Ja Morant. So
Okay.
maybe we get him a Morant jersey.
Okay.
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
So we're advertising basketball jerseys to Noah. So are you a nerd who wants to fit in with all your cool jock friends?
I guess so.
You need to get a jersey. You'll look like all the boys. You can hang out and get some beers.
What material is that made out of? I might be allergic.
Who cares, nerd?
You can wear a turtleneck underneath if you still want to keep that classy style.
Yeah, wear a turtleneck, get a jersey, so you'll fit in with all the bros.
Okay.
All right, now NBA, I think you legally have to give us money for that ad. Hit us.
Or they'll sue the shit out of us.
Yeah, we just give him free promotion.
Get on it, Adam Silver.
Yeah. All right, so Noah's gonna get a basketball jersey and be a cool boy now.
They'll sue us because they're like, we're not marketing to nerds.
Yeah, we don't have video, but we can guarantee you guys he'll be in a basketball jersey next time,
Right.
for the podcast. So yeah, people, if you want to give us money, you can give us money. f1sidepod@gmail.com. But let's get into the next week of races. All right, welcome back from the break. We made so much money on that break. The NBA, I think, legally has to now pay us like $20,000.
That's a 100% increase of profits from the last time we got paid for an ad.
Anything is 100% increase in
Well,
price.
last time, remember the numbers were like 10 grand, I think.
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
well, the
in
NBA's
our bank
the-
account.
Yeah, but the NBA has more money
We
than
spent it
Build-A-Bear
all though
Workshop.
already.
Yeah, Build-A-Bear Workshop doesn't have as big of a budget.
True.
Back-to-back weeks, we advertise for Build-A-Bear and the NBA. You know, how normal people do things.
Right.
So
We'll
next,
just take any money that's out there. So
yeah. Next race, we have Azerbaijan. Oh my God. Is this their national anthem?
yes,
Oh my. It seems like somebody evil just walked in the room.
I know it's. I
This is
actually
intense.
really like it.
I don't want to do just a full segment on this roasting like a country's national anthem.
I envision stormtroopers walking down the track.
Yeah, like it seems evil, but
yeah, but now it's starting to get a little nicer.
Okay, yeah.
But that intro out, that's
it's the
epic.
thunderstorm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a thunderstorm, and now it's clearing up. Anyways, the Azerbaijan or the Baku Grand Prix, however you want to call it.
It's one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorite races as well.
I think the biggest thing, it's that long ass straight,
Yeah, at the very end.
and then that little, what is it by the church? That little
Oh yeah, Yeah, you can basically go straight through it, but you got to hit it perfectly or you're
Yeah.
gonna crash.
Oh my god, that's the funnest little corner right there at the
Yeah.
church.
It's got 2 DRS zones, one right before 2 90-degree turns,
so fast.
and then one in the middle, and then 2 more 90-degree turns. But yeah, I'm super pumped. It's one of my favorite races.
Oh yeah,
After one of my least favorite races.
right.
2 weeks.
And both street races, but
Yeah,
one sucks.
but one of them
one's
is way
fun.
better. Yeah, they just have better streets.
Right.
Adam, how do you feel about Baku?
Honestly, I don't remember it very well. I'm still kind of a newcomer to F1, but
And how many have you been watching 2 years with us?
I started last year, but I watched probably
Yeah.
the first half of the year, and then after like their summer holiday, I kind of fell off the wagon.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So
I intend to.
That's kind of like when a lot of people I think kind of fall off is after
When
that
it's not
long-
like every week or every other week,
Right.
you have
Yeah,
a break
it's
to
tough to
forget
keep
about
up
it.
with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So last year in the race, Lance Stroll's tire blew up for no reason, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then Verstappen was handily in first place. His tire blew up for no
on
reason.
That awesome straight.
And then there was a standing restart. Hamilton lit up his brakes till they were on fire
yeah.
and couldn't stop on that 90-degree turn and had to go into the runoff area, which led to Sergio Perez getting his first win with Red Bull.
Yeah.
So if things repeated itself, which I highly doubt all that stuff's going to
Yeah,
repeat itself, Sergio could go back to back.
That would be wild.
It would be wild. I don't expect it to happen.
I don't either.
But no, it's I really like it because
But
there's
he's still
tight,
in a Red Bull, so he's
still
still
in a
going
Red
to
Bull.
do good.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Baku tight. It's also where Ricardo and Verstappen came together,
Ooh, yeah.
which I think it was the first season of Drive to Survive that was.
Yeah.
Where
I think was that their first season
together. I
together?
think so.
Yeah.
And so Ricardo ran into the back of Verstappen
Yeah.
on that straight, the start-finish straight, and put them both out of the race.
Yep.
When I don't think they were first, second, because that was when Mercedes was dominant. But I think they were third, fourth.
Yeah, I
And,
forgot about that. And
So
then I think the first year when he was at Renault, like he did a big runoff on that first 90, like just
yeah,
went right through it.
yeah. So I mean, honestly, the good thing is there's usually a lot of drama at this race, but it's not necessarily people crashing. It's just something about the race.
Well, I think it's because I think it's because of this sheer speed that you can get on this track. Like,
yeah, true.
it just
Well, this book that I have,
wants to fling the tires right off of the cars, and that's straight.
it says the maximum speed on this track is 337 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. That's,
Um,
what, maybe 205 miles an hour?
Let's see.
210 miles an hour?
209 miles an hour.
209 miles an hour.
So
And no,
intense.
I'm not good at math and can do that in my head. I play F1 the game a lot, and I always check my speed on that straight to see how fast my car is. Yeah. So it's kind of
It's
cool
intense.
that it's actually
Pretty close.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm
So
waiting for the
game in
day
real
that we
life.
come in here and you're gonna have like the whole driving simulator rig
Yeah,
set up. Like you're
100%.
gonna
It might
gonna have
happen
a-
someday.
He'll do
a seat with
iRacing.
steering wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into predictions for this race.
Okay.
So first off, I'm going to make Noah's predictions for him. He thinks that Mick Schumacher is going to be first.
Yep.
Mick Schumacher 1, Yuki Tsunoda 2, Ocon 3,
Here, hold on. I'm writing this down.
Latifi 4.
for the
Yeah,
website.
write it down. Write it down. Put it in ink. Don't
Okay.
write it in pencil. And a fifth place, he thinks it's going to be Nikita Mazepin.
Ooh.
So we're
It's
putting
gonna
that.
come out down from the rafters.
He's
Yeah.
coming out of retirement. Well, he did
my-
retire.
Yeah. So that's officially Noah's predictions. But no, seriously.
Pretty solid predictions there from Noah.
Yeah. But seriously, I'll go predictions wise first. I'm gonna go Max Verstappen, P1, winning this. He was way ahead last time. Those Red Bulls are super fast in a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go another Red Bull 1-2. Sergio Perez 2. Leclerc 3. Russell 4. Sainz 5.
Oh my God.
So that's a little bit out there, but I think those Red Bulls are so fast on a straight. That's where they really have an advantage. And this is not, I mean, there are technical parts of it. This is not a technical track. This is very much a speed track. Not as much as other tracks, but there is a lot of speed and a lot of advantage you can get with it. And so, yeah, that's mine.
All right. Well, I really thought that we were going to have the exact same thing, but mine's a little different. So, the obvious, I'm going to do Verstappen wins.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Latifi.
Oh, yeah. Verstappen wins, Perez second, Leclerc third, fourth, Norris, and fifth, Russell.
Okay. I thought you were going to have Russell out of the top 5, which he's never done this season, has been out of the top 5.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think it's a pretty safe.
yeah, you're assuming. Now, here's the thing. Are you assuming Sainz is going to have an issue and
Yes.
like crash out?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
That's
Adam.
probably the safe. Probably the safe bet. But here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to
That's
kind of
boring, right?
I'm going to kind of zag here, guys. I think Ferrari is going to reevaluate because they have the pace.
Yeah, they do.
I think they're going to qualify really well. I think it's going to be Leclerc and Sainz P1, P2,
Okay.
Verstappen P3, Perez P4. And I think Norris is starting to figure something out. So I'm going to go Norris P5.
I agree.
Wow. I think the ballsiest prediction of that whole thing was that Russell isn't going to be in the top 5.
Yeah, I think he's P6 unless something crazy happens with his car. But I
Well, hey,
think Norris has figured something out.
You got to make a
Oh, I
splash.
think so
You got to
too.
make a splash while you're here, Adam. So,
That's right.
yeah.
Right.
Might as well just call for Lewis Hamilton to finish first.
No. I'll mute your mic if you say that. You'll be done.
I mean, but it's very obvious now. I mean, even though it's still very new into the season, it's very obvious who's the top 2 cars. I mean, it's been that way kind of since the beginning, but they're not really letting up. You know, Mercedes may catch up with them a little bit. Norris is right there, but they're far and away 1 and 2. So I don't know which one's 1 and which one's 2 exactly. Right now, the numbers say it's Red Bull, Ferrari, but
Right.
you know, everything is fluid and everything can change.
Yeah.
But-
We're going to be going into race 8.
Let's see. This
I
is,
think this was 7, wasn't it?
I think so. Well, this
So
book that
what
has a
we
lot
have-
of stats does not say
So we have like 23 races?
22 because they officially said
'cause of
Russia isn't
Russia.
going to be replaced.
Right. Yep. You got that over there, Adam? Is that 8? Or
Yeah, this is 8.
It is 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to count and read. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going into 8, there's still a lot of races left.
What's interesting too is that, you know, one thing that's kept Hamilton and Mercedes in this fight is that it seems like if like Ferrari or Verstappen or Ferrari or Red Bull, if they have like a bad race, it's not like they just come second or third. Sometimes they just don't finish.
Yeah, and
You know.
Mercedes has finished both cars every race.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's what's kept them
consistency.
in the running.
Yeah, for sure. So now we do the dark horse driver. Oh wait,
Oh, what is that?
Dark horse driver.
All right.
it's coming over the hills. So this is basically who you think is just going to overperform, or essentially we figured out it's kind of the prediction. It's almost your prediction of who you think will be the driver of the day or the weekend warrior.
Yeah, that's kind of what we came to a conclusion of.
So usually, it's
but it doesn't
not.
have to be.
It's not your. It's not
I mean, it
necessarily
could-
somebody in your top
it could
5 unless
be
you predict Ricardo.
Latifi gets points.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know that I'd ever predict that.
I don't think that'd be.
I mean, unless they're like, oh man, all of the cars, like all the drivers have like COVID the
Yeah.
day before the race, except for Latifi. Maybe he'll get points. But man,
he wrecked into the wall.
if he listens to this, sorry. Come on here and defend yourself, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not even going to apologize. I think he should listen to it. Someone send this to him. Get him listening to this podcast so he can really,
Yeah, he can tweet us out.
yeah.
I like maple syrup. There you go. That's a positive. It's an olive branch, if you will. But dark horse driver. Anybody got one right off the bat they want to go with?
I can go.
Yeah.
I'm going to do Daniel Ricciardo.
Ooh, again, 2 weeks in a row.
I know. I want him to do well.
I mean, everybody wants him to do well.
He can do it.
He can. You know what? I'll go. Last week I went with Norris, and I feel vindicated. I'm gonna go somebody who had a pretty decent day today. For the most part, I feel like has gotten really screwed this season, but has the potential. And that's Pierre Gasly.
I almost went with Gasly, honestly.
He is a very good driver. He's been screwed by a lot of issues that he literally out of it. Not even like signs where he's just pushing too hard, something like that. Literally stuff that's out of his control has gone wrong and and screwed him over.
I almost did Gasly. It was a close second for me.
I want to see him perform because I don't think he'll be on that team next year, and I want him to go somewhere good.
Right.
Adam, who do you think is going to perform this next week?
Yeah, I would say Gasly's probably second for me, but definitely a strong contender to be a dark horse. For me, I'm going to say the Alpines have had a really good pace in that mid pack, upper mid pack.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Esteban Ocon.
Okay.
Nice.
See, I considered him as well.
Yeah. I go with Alonso a lot. He's always in my head of performing because he always has it somewhere.
Right.
But okay, those are our dark horse drivers.
Okay.
We'll see how we never really keep up with how they do, but so this will just go out into the ether and we'll forget about it by next time.
I mean, it's just, I think it's more for the audience to yell at us yes or no.
Yeah. So yell at us, yes or no. F1 side -pod on Twitter. Yell at us, please. Tweet at us. Do something.
Tell us how wrong or how right we are.
Yeah. And then finally, our stat of the week. I like numbers. There we go. I like numbers so much actually that we've got multiple stats of the week. So, number 1, Sergio Perez is the first Mexican driver to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Congratulations, Sergio. Hell of a race. Number 2, Alonso has now done the most laps in an F1 race at Monaco of any F1 driver, which is...
Did you say he got that record at after lap 14?
Lap 14
was it the
put him in the
record
lead.
lap? Gotcha.
Yeah. So, also hell of an accomplishment to just be racing that long.
Right.
Because, if you're bad, you don't get to race that long.
Exactly.
And number 3, unfortunately, it couldn't have been a better outcome for him, but Leclerc finally finished a home Grand Prix in Monaco.
Right.
He never finished one before. And so, he finally got to see what that checkered flag looks like on that straight. So,
didn't you say, and this might be kind of a statty week thing or just kind of like a fun thing. Did you say that Leclerc learned how to swim in that swimming pool on that track?
Yeah, the swimming pool chicane. I would almost call it the most like overused stat. There, there are some stats they'll throw out every week where it's like they say it about 1,000 times a weekend. They kept talking. Yeah, the swimming pool chicane, because there's a swimming pool in the chicane.
Right.
Is where Charles Leclerc learned how to swim.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So he knows the track well, you could say.
Right.
But yeah, so those are our stats of the week. Excited for Baku. Good Monaco Grand Prix. And could have been better, but pretty good. Pretty interesting at least. But we're going to get out of here. Follow us on social media at F1 side-pod on Twitter. Leave us a review. Say nice things. Adam, what's a nice thing you can say about us?
You guys know your stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, say that.
Well, thanks for being our guest host today.
Yeah, thanks for replacing
fun.
Noah while he had to go feed his grandma to wolves or whatever he said.
Yeah, Noah, you should miss more often.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Maybe sometime you'll get to meet him.
Right.
Our next episode next week, if not that, after Baku. And this has been the F1 Side Pod. I'm Cody.
I'm Paul.
And this is Adam.
We'll see you next week.